All right. Good morning. I know it's Thursday. Sometimes I don't go live on Thursdays, but I wanted to kind of talk about something and get some people in here. Notifications were kind of late, so we'll let this gather some time here. Let me make an adjustment here, and then we're going to go over. We will be going over some low board stuff, but I want to ask an important question to everybody. And it's a question that you should be asking yourself. Um, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this past week, man, has not been a good week for me mentally. I'm just being honest here, and there's a lot of things going on. I've managed to anger some people. I've managed to um, not. I don't know. I've managed to make some mistakes this week, and it's not sitting well with me. So hold on. Cats hate it when it rains. Anyways, and I guess the social media thing has been kind of a down. You got all this stuff going on in the news, and I don't. You think you don't absorb yourself in something, but then you kind of do. You got 100 different um, stories for one event. You got the train derailment that's creating a bunch of stories. By the way, look up the trailer for the movie White Noise. I have not watched the movie yet, but it looks pretty interesting. Um, the whole balloon thing, that's just kind of ridiculous. So I find myself in a lot of deep thought. I've been distracted this week, and then some of the issues that I'm dealing with, trying to find loads this week hasn't been great. So anyways, we'll get some more people in here, and then I'll get into it. Oh, on a positive note, the Back the Truck Up podcast with me being interviewed is public now. If you go to my community page, there's 3 different links. There's a Spotify, iTunes, and then the direct website. And then I'll have to see if they'll let me. They gave me the MP3, so I'm kind of wondering if I could post that myself. But I would rather have the traffic go to their website. Now, the cool thing, if you type in Snorelord on Google, um, it's like the 4th thing that pops up. So that's pretty cool. And of course, they're using multiple podcast outlets as well. Like iTunes and I think iHeart and Spotify, of course. And so I don't know if you can get podcasts on Spotify if you don't have Spotify Premium. If someone has that, let me know. Or doesn't have Spotify Premium, if you could still watch that or listen to it. I mean, it was a fun interview, and there's a I won't say it. I don't want it to be distracting, but I tend to say things that when I'm all like riled up, and you can create a drinking game. I'll just leave it at that. Kind of like the ums. There's something else that I do that I don't realize I do it, and I do it when I'm really excited. So I'm trying to be more conscious about that. I can't even talk. So, anyways, we're gonna go over some rates. You know, take average rates and throw them out the window, and take the rate that you did a month ago, throw that out the window. Um, there's the There's a lot going on, and if you're listening to some of the financial non-trucking podcasts, now I'm not talking about these financial, prepper doom types. Those people are they're bad, right? They're telling you things so you fear. I had a friend of mine tell me, "Get all your money out of the bank now." then what? I mean, what am I going to do? So it's and that was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Nothing's happened, and this whole just in case this happens, there's not enough justification. So I figured I'll just deal with it when it comes, and we've got things in place to prepare for most anything. But that's where life gets you. It's like, oh, here's a little spot you didn't prepare for. Ding. So, anyways, good morning. Sorry, I'm kind of like I said, I'm in deep thought. Let's go over some comments here. CDN Freight Broker made it. Awesome. Thank you for coming in, Matt K. Good morning. Hope all goes well today for you. Sterling, good morning. Quick Hit, good morning. Stuart, the hobby trucker, good morning. CDN saying good morning. Greg Zimmer, good morning to you. Jerome, what's up? CB, morning from Concordia, Missouri. Are you at that? Are you at that TA? That's not a bad little TA. Metalheads Unite, Power of Low Board. Good morning, everyone from Lakeland, Florida. That's where my sister lives. That's where she lives. Gather in, everybody. Hit the like. Desert Okie Pam, good morning. Come on with it. I listened to Snorelord on a podcast. There you go. Hit that like button. Thank you, Shannon. Ryan, what's up, man? What's up, old man? CB, $2. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for the super chat. Dennis, good morning, folks. This Trucking Life, what's up? Good morning. Nothing witty. Conscience. Cut. Stop it. Ryan, what's up? Patrick, Bet David. I have no idea what that means. Word of the day, conscientious. Conscientious. Thank you for the 420. The Back the Truck Up podcast is free for everyone and can be listened to on any browser. There you go. Driving with John, what's up? Got here after my coffee at Quick Trip, getting a late start. The Quick Trip with the K. They got some good stuff in there. If you're rich, man, you can get some good food for your week. I look back on my videos, and my cooking in the truck series is a really good series. It's been pretty good for me for my numbers, and it takes some effort, to think about what you're going to eat, and to kind of create a system in the truck that's easy to deal with on cleanup, but can also allow you to have steak or just good food versus the roller grill stuff. So yeah, so just Quick Trip is really good for for those that want to take the effort to cook in the truck. Good morning from Portland, on my way to Rolla, Missouri. Wow, that's a hell of a trek. Talk about Portland, Oregon. Rolling to Meta now. You know exactly where I'm loading. I bet. Yeah, there's only one place down there in CB. You're gonna. I know my old cell phone provider would lose signal because basically you look at that town as a bowl, and you go down this big hill and look for the line of trucks, and you're there. And you look, even the Qualcomm that I had at Schneider didn't have a signal down there, so I never loaded there. I always either brought an empty or picked up an empty there. That's I booked a load there once, or picking up there once, and then my truck decided, nah, you ain't doing that, and I had to put the truck in the shop and had to cancel that load. So Marty, what's up? Your podcast is available on Spotify. Good deal. Cape Girardeau, that's in Missouri. If you weren't sure, yes, I know where Cape Girardeau is. That's actually not a bad area. I've done that. That's so you're probably if you're orange, you're probably PNG is right there. So morning flatbed trucker, what's up? So um so the general consensus and historic aspects of the spot market in February is that it drops and that things pick up beginning of March, and then by April it's picked up better, and then by May, you're at the beginning of the full swing of the peak season, especially if you're in van and reefer. Well, in flatbed as well, I guess. I'm not as familiar with the seasons of reefer, but I guess I'm going to learn. Um, and so there's this light at the end of the tunnel. There's this hope that things are going to get better. And so, you have this let's hunker down, let's struggle a little bit, and it's through struggle you become stronger. And you might be on a thin margin. Now there are other businesses, and I've mentioned this before in my live feeds, that there are other businesses that lose money on certain parts of the year. Retail is a perfect example. Let's say that you're a manufacturer of hunting goods, like duck hunting. Now we'll do deer hunting because I know deer hunting. I don't know duck hunting very well. Well, I imagine in June, you're not going to be selling a whole lot of stuff. You're getting the orders ready and hoping that people will buy, come October. But for the most part, your season starts at September. And so it might look like a loss. If you own a restaurant, you might only make a profit on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the weekends. Whereas you might be closed on Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, you're breaking even, if not losing a little bit, when you look at the daily rate. And the whole purpose is that the weekend makes up for the slow days. So when you look at it as a whole, then that's how much money you're making. Trucking's no different. For every time that you do a load for $4 a mile, you might have to do a load for $1 a mile, and it all balances out in the end. There might be a load that you might lose money on. But here's the important question to ask yourself. Okay. So you might be in a period right now because you got high equipment costs, your insurance is through the roof, and you're struggling right now. You may not even making a profit. You might be losing money even though you're running your face off. The question you have to ask yourself is, what if it doesn't pick up in March? What if it doesn't pick up in April? What are you going to do about it? Just like if you own the restaurant and it's Tuesday, and you've only got like 30 people that came in for the whole day. What if that happens on Friday? What if that happens on Saturday? You as a restaurant owner would be like, there must be something wrong. There must be, and then the restaurant has to think to themselves, well, why aren't people coming in here? Is it advertising? Is it our food? Is it our service? Because if I look at the numbers, I can't survive like that. It's kind of like the people that, and I was guilty of this when I was younger. Oh man, I'm going to pay these bills off as soon as my tax refund comes in. And then it doesn't come in, and you're like, now you're scrambling. And that's a mindset created by, the agenda, like, oh, you're going to get this, $2,000 tax return. By the way, we're a car dealership. We'll do your tax return for you, so we get that first. Or we're H&R Block. We'll give you a debit card with that amount of money, but you're going to pay, X percentage of that when we get the real check. But that's the light at the end of the tunnel. But what if that never comes? And as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, just because you're a business owner doesn't mean you're going to make more money than somebody that works for somebody. I guarantee you that the safety manager of Prime makes more money than I do. I guarantee you that a dispatcher over at RBX makes more money than I do. But I own my business, right? I'm a contractor for Rig Runner. I'm an agent for Rig Runner. I'm a contractor for Like Trucking. Doesn't mean I'm going to get better than company money. Now, people might say, well, Steve, if you ran better, if you did this, this, and this, you would make more money as a company driver. But would you on the net? Here's some math for you guys. And I wish I had a whiteboard to show you. If you take a load that you've made $2 a mile on for $2,000, so a 1,000-mile run, okay, that's $2 a mile. Now, like, why would you run something so cheap? Blah, blah. I know. We're going to look at a low board and you're going to see $2 a mile freight. Okay. I want you to do this math. Let's say you're working for a company that gives you 80%. So $2,000 times 0.8, that's 1,600. All right. So let's say you got a good, decent fuel mileage truck that's 7 miles to the gallon. 1,000 miles divided by 7. That's 142 gallons times 450 for fuel. That's $642. So out of the 1,600 minus $642, that's $958 that you're making off. That's just after fuel and percentage. What percentage is that 958 from 2,000? And so if you're doing $1,000 load, is it a 500-mile load or is it a 200-mile load? What's the difference? The fuel, right? And so when you do the math, there are times when rates are so low that you're making probably, you might be netting $200 or $300 a day. That's what it was for me during the shutdowns because I had things going on at home, and so I needed to not do the coast to coast thing. Now there were guys here that did the coast to coast thing, and they did well. They did like 19,000-20,000 a month doing that. But how much did they keep? And can you sustain that kind of running? Because what if the rates never popped up? What if the rates never jumped up? Would you be able to run like that for indefinite? You might sit there and say, "Yeah, but I guarantee after 2 or 3 months you might be burned out." So you kind of have to love being a business owner. And part of that love is understanding that there are times when maybe that light at the end of the tunnel is that freight train coming at you. And so that's the important question is what if this doesn't turn around? What are you going to do about it? Do you have a plan for that? Because I know there are many businesses, and not just in trucking, but a lot of businesses that were floated with a lot of cash that don't realize they're dead men walking. So it's that's the question. So if you're only averaging, say, 20 cents a mile profit because of your costs, would you be a company driver for 20 cents a mile? So you have to ask yourself why you're doing this, right? Is it the prestige of being an owner operator? Is it the freedom? Well, you know that freedom comes at a cost. We have a lot of freedoms in this country, and they come at a cost. And the understanding that, you know, that you're going to have days, if not months, if not a year. My first year, I didn't profit anything. I don't think I got money back from the tax man, and you can't do that consistently because try getting a bank loan and showing no profit. You know, you could be the best 1099 manipulator of write ups and all that, but if you don't show a profit, no one ain't going to loan you any money for new equipment. So one of the most important aspects of being a business owner, and I don't care what industry you're in, is are you honest with yourself? And that's the thing. You can't have your head in the sand. You know, what are you willing to struggle for? We all struggle. You know, and that's one thing I'm reading in this new book that I'm reading is that we're all suffering, but what are you willing to suffer for? And that's the key. Like a lot of people ask me, well, what's it like dealing with brokers all day and making all those phone calls and no. I couldn't do that. Well, because I love doing this. And so I've learned to, you know, the bad days like I had yesterday, I've just learned that this is a part of it. Just like trucking, you can love trucking, but you're going to have bad days. You're going to have that shipper that keeps you for 10 hours. You're going to have that cursed load where you blow a tire and the truck goes down and all these different things happen. You know, it's but you know, since you love trucking, you're willing to put up with it because you take the good with the bad. And if you truly love booking your own freight, then you know, or you should know, that it could be a challenge, even in good markets. The challenge I have is dealing with people that don't love their job. They don't love what they do when it comes to, you know, being on the other side of my phone. You ever gone to a church where people didn't like their own church? I have. It's not a pleasant place. And the struggle is real right now. And you have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to put up with? If someone said, hey, you can either own a truck or and lose your family, or become a company driver and keep your family, what would you do? What's more important? The third option is trying to figure out how to make it work where you can have both. But unfortunately, not a lot of people have that skill set because that's called balance. And I think that we're living in a very imbalanced world right now. The news and just being out and about will show you that we're a very imbalanced nation right now. All right, let's get to the comments, guys. You've been commenting. I'm still convinced they should sell trucker chow in 20-pound bags at the truck stop for those of us who don't wish to meal prep. I unload batteries in Boss, Missouri one time. That was the nastiest warehouse I've ever seen. Sterling, like Hy-Vee, they're expensive as hell, but Hy-Vee has like pre-made meals. And I think Quick Trip does too. You just buy them and throw them in a warmer and you're good to go. This is what I want to know. Loads from steel mills to Oshkosh military shipyards. I want to see if there's been a ramp up. No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if I could see that, but we're going to talk about some flatbed stuff today. Sterling's feed store. We sell feed bags too. I've been sitting this Home Depot DC gate for 20 minutes, and after giving them all my information for the delivery, they ask, "What are you picking up?" Yeah, when you see those ramp up, that's when you know things are going to get real, and that's true. Steve, you're not alone. This week has been a challenging week. The key is to stay consistent to what brought you success in the past. Don't panic. Our knowledge and consistency will pay off long term, and that's been the saving grace for me, CDN. I appreciate your knowledge and your insight. I really do. Hopefully, I can talk you into a huge pizza at Matt's. We could be keto rebels. I did have a pizza at last year's Matt's. Jeff didn't like it. Thunder took us to this pizza place downtown, and I think I was the only one that enjoyed the pizza. Now the pizza didn't like me. I mean, that night was a tough night, but I think that was a reaction to all the bread and the seed oils, to be honest with you, and the bloating. Truck for fun. Good morning. Almond, are you selling the truck? Why are you selling the truck? I'm not selling the truck. Not yet. It's still there. Look, things continue the way they are. I'll be in the truck. Trucking is all about averages. There will always be peaks and valleys. Just don't let emotions get in your way and blur your judgment. If you have good foundation in your business, you'll be good. And that's what I concentrate on, Stuart. I mean, that look, Stewart's had to pivot. He's had to adjust. He's had to swallow some pride. And so he's not just whistling Dixie there. I quit thinking what if and only care about what will now with a healthy dose of so what. There you go. Starting to see a lot of those 800,000 mile trucks down in the $20,000 range. Yeah, and they're going to be. You got to be careful though; they're not going to be maintained very well. Why would you even consider a low where you take a loss? Does a store sell item at a loss? They may. But a loss, I doubt it. I think it would be a loss. I think if it would be a loss, it is more than likely discontinued. If they sell at a loss for a while, I worked for a boat company. I worked for Tracker Marine on a boat that after 2 years of production didn't make them a dime because of all the money that they put into the research and development and the logistics of it. It was Tracker's Tundra and Avalanche models. It was a small plant right here in Springfield, and they were horrible boats. The design was a good design, but the people trying to make these designs didn't know what the hell they were doing. And after about 3 years, they're like, you know what? I think we're done with this. So, but they went for 3 years before they called it quits and discontinued it. So, I mean, yeah, you're right. But does one load lose your whole business? Does one load lower your entire average? So that's something that you have to consider. Morning, all. Make your day your best day. Thank you, David. Steve, how do you feel about broker transparency? Marty, come on. You should already know that if you've been watching. Broker transparency is dumb. Who cares? That's a stupid argument. I mean, I'm not trying to insult you, Marty, but you should know that. It's not. Let me apologize because I've already lost one friend because of my mouth. So let me tell you this, Marty. It's an invalid argument. I mean, if you went to every grocery store and asked them how much they had in every item on the shelf, or if you went to the convenience store and asked them how much money they had in the gasoline or how much money they had in the carbolicious diet, crap that people drink, um, you would probably not buy it. I mean, the gasoline, you have no choice but to buy it, but you wouldn't be paying $3 for a can of Starbucks Frappa if you knew that it only cost a quarter for them to make and only 50 cents is what they purchased it for. So how is broker transparency going to make your business better? It won't. It really won't. Because they're going to give you what they give you. That's it. If the convenience store wants to sell you frappuccino cans that cost them 50 cents and they want to sell it to you for $4 and you buy 5 of them, you're going to sit there and beg at the counter. Well, can you do like 5 for $2? No, you're not at a swap meet. And then think about Shark Tank, right? You get on Shark Tank and they actually tell you, oh, it costs X amount to make, it costs X amount. And what lights everybody's eyes up? Oh, your profit margin's like 48%. Wow. We want to invest in you. So, but people still pay for those products. They still have dozens of mail orders or online orders for after a product is shown on Shark Tank, whether they get a deal or not, even though they know what the cost is. So how is that going to help your business by having broker transparency? That's why brokers don't want to use, these small mom and pop carriers. I tried to book a TQL load yesterday for one of my outside carriers, and they said, no, you haven't done enough TQL loads for us to give you this particular load. So that's what broker transparency gets you. One challenge being owner operator, one truck carrier, freight broker agent is vacation time, at least as owner operator, one truck carrier, park the truck, turn on the out of office alert on email, but no work equals no pay. That's part of being an entrepreneur. What is everyone break even number without personal expenses? That varies. Pale Rider, what's up? Good morning. Trucker's Table, good to see you here. Trucker's Table, did you see that that hazmat crash? Prayers to the driver's family. That driver passed away. It was a Landstar driver. I don't know if it was somebody you knew. I know Landstar is a big company, but and that's a bad deal. I take a vacation every day. I'm a paid tourist. There you go. Because you love what you do. As a broker agent, you can't just shut down or you risk losing your customers. Have your own business has its pros and cons. The only time you hear an owner operator takes a month off is due to a breakdown. I pay to do this at 65%, gang. Love it that much. There you go. Shannon, I will always adapt and adjust. Rising from the ashes is in my DNA. You're a phoenix. 60 watching, only 20 thumbs up. Come on. Give them a thumbs up. We got 75 in here now. My cost of living is $51 per day. Summary is maybe a few days away from work can refuel the mind. Yes, that is true. Trucking with T-Bone, good morning. Chris, great topic to discuss. I'm in a different industry, run my own business. What you're saying is spot on, in my opinion. Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. That's not a true statement. Showing a loss does not mean you won't get loans. I bought a $160,000 truck and showed a loss the 2 years before. Banks understand the tax game. Some do, some don't. I know that my bank suggested that I need to show a profit. And I did show a loss for 2 years and then was still able to get the Kenworth. But that was the $60,000 truck. It's a lot tougher to get a loan right now. Pale Rider TV, do you have a PO box for people who want to send you stuff? It's hard to talk to other guys in my industry that are burnt out, don't want to do it anymore. It's too hard, etc. There's a lot of jaded people right now in our industry. I mean, I always get annoyed when I talk to an old school trucker that hates everything. Like, then why are you doing this? Well, this is all I know. Well, then stop spreading your misery on other people. Boulder Woods, what's up? What about Pale Rider hats? Are those coming? Hats are expensive to make. I find if I have a bad day or a week is step one, look after yourself. Go for a walk or work out. Get your sweat on, cold shower, clean your office, car, house. Things feel better than they am. And that's the insight that CDN is so valuable for me. Trucker's Table. Okay, Mr. Jesse wants to send you some coffee, and I'm going to send some too. I'm waiting in line at Publix DC in Lakeland to get into. This will be hours to complete delivery according to Google reviews. Yes, Shannon. Hope you didn't book anything after that. Go truck yourself. Good morning. First, if you don't succeed, try again. Robert the Bruce. Pale Rider TV says Shannon. CFI might have an opening in their safety department. Wonder why. Bad days in trucks. Say it ain't so. Yesterday was a shit show for me. Right? The chain reaction of events, says T-Bone. Yeah, it's tough, man. Profit and ways to increase profits. I always think about these, and I love trucking. I'm around the $50 profit level all miles and $900 a day profit for the days I run. There you go. And that's why you're so generous on the YouTubes, especially with DIY and cash. Marty, debate me live on that topic. Yes, Marty. I dare you. Grafton, what's up? Frappa Crappo. Do you like that? Nothing, Winnie. Frappa Crappo. People keep running cheap freight. It'll stay cheap. Well, here's the thing. So what are your options? You either park the truck or haul the cheaper stuff because it's all cheap right now. There's a load that I called on yesterday. And it was a load that I did on the 16th of January for $2,200. That same load now, they were trying to push it for 16. They would not budge past 17, and they even had to get approval for that. Luckily, something else popped up, but at one point, it was my only option because I needed something specific, and this meet all the parameters. And when you go out west, you have no choice. You have no choice but to go east, unless you're going north south, on the coast there. But then that gets expensive. Oregon and the fuel and the speed in California and all the time sitting there in traffic jams. It's in the mountains and the snow. So you want to go east, and they know that. So the rates are down. But and here's the thing: if you don't want to haul cheap freight and you can't get the rate up, then park the truck. And if that's what creates rates, then we'll see those rates go up. But if you remember back during the shutdowns, everybody parked their trucks because they had these EIDL loans and the rates were still down. It wasn't until manufacturing picked back up that the rates started to go up. It's all supply and demand. I've parked the truck because of rates. I'm no different. I have emotional responses. So my strategy is to stay in areas that they're not trying to ask for a buck a mile, which I'm seeing. There was a click and go that had $1 a mile and it had 3 stops on it. Carriers scam drivers all the time. Why aren't WT drivers asking for carrier transparency? Clothing is minimum 50% profit. Have we stopped buying clothes, right? That's my point, is the discounting. In this industry, that means going broke. Average means nothing in reality. Average only important if going to the bank or to see how you're doing overall. What's a TQL loan? Have you seen the company Right Load? They let the shippers post directly to their board. No brokers allowed. How's their rates? No, I've heard about them. They're just a platform. Oh, look at Sterling doing the gift memberships. Thank you much. Thank you very much, Sterling. You gifted 5. Thank you. Man, my membership's going to be through the roof. And now Sage is a member. Good morning, old Pale Rider. Much love, man. 75 watching, only 29 thumbs up. Go hit the thumbs up button. Pigtail, I'm going to talk to you here a little bit. Good morning. Who's in Lakeland? Shannon. Ice Baby up here in North Missouri. Yeah, you guys are getting it. Man, that thunderstorm that rolled through here last night was pretty massive. Yes, let's go out of business because people's feelings are getting hurt because I'm hauling cheap freight. Makes plenty of sense. And the cheap freight argument is based on opinion. And for the most part, I mean, you can't sustain a truck at $1 a mile. So that's cheap freight. Even if your truck's paid off and you're getting free insurance, fuel alone, you're still, fuel and external expenses, you're still breaking even. But I guarantee you nobody's got a cost of $1 a mile right now, especially if you're not running. My cost per mile is probably $500 a mile right now. B Feline, good morning. Owner ops need to understand that volume and tender rejections drive spot market rates, not brokers. Brokers react to volume and tender rejections. And the people that understand that, they do better. Thanks for subscribing. You had to subscribe to be able to post there. $1 a mile with 3 stops, $3 a mile, right? KC not looking good this morning. Yep. Yeah, the weather sucks up there. So just food for thought. So let's say the spring rush, there's no spring rush. What are you going to do about that? And that's something that you have to think about. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but you don't want to base your business off of hope. Just like you don't want to make an investment off your tax return, hopefully that you get, when you're back working, 40 hours a week at some crap job you hated. So you can make $4 a mile, but if it's only 100 miles, is that good? What is cheap freight? That is another eternal argument that will never be solved. And so it's not even worth discussing, because what's cheap for trucker A may not be for trucker B. Clyde, good morning. Chicago KC with 4 pallets of copy paper. Silly. There you go. Imports are way down. We have too much trucking capacity for what is available. That is the bottom line, TC Boggs. And so if more people sit, more people go out of business, and capacity doesn't change, that's going to help rates. So if you feel like these rates are too cheap, then park the truck. It'll only help the people that are staying in. Ah, yes, another person I've made angry. I feel when a driver complained about broker transparency, that just means the driver doesn't know their numbers or what to do and needs someone to point the blame the finger at, right? Let's see, $2 a mile is cheap freight. I do have a crystal ball this year. Anxieties will come by the truckloads. Reconsider life choices. $2 a mile leaves plenty of profit for me. That's not cheap freight for me. I'll run $2 all day long. The war of attrition. Yes. 60 cents company plus 50 cents per mile for fuel, 90 cents to run a truck. Ridiculous. Cheap freight is anything 30 cents per mile more than your costs per mile. The definition of cheap freight is not important to me. It just isn't, because that is such a high variable. It just you know that's the thing. $200,000 truck, $50,000 trailer, $10,000 tires, $2 a mile. I think that if the majority of people did the actual math, they would not be owner operators. Really, depending on what your goals are. You can't buy yourself, and this is something a friend of mine told me yesterday, you can't buy yourself a higher income job. And the cost of equipment and maintenance and labor and the cost of food, the cost of tires, the cost of everything has gone up, and it's taken your bottom line. You might gross the 20 grand a month that you grossed this year is not the same 20 grand a month you grossed last year. I'm going to show you guys something. This is DAT trend lines. I want to show you guys something. Okay. Now, whether you like DAT or their numbers or not, doesn't matter. This is what I'm here to show you. We're not worried about these numbers. Okay. Oh, where's it at here? Yeah, let me try something else here. That's saw it. Loading. All right. Oh, here it is. Found it. This is what you have to prepare for as a trucking company owner. Look at these charts. This is low board posts. This is trucks. You guys see a pattern here? It looks like an EKG, right? Feast, famine. The peak is feast. The drop is famine. This is something that a majority of people don't understand about owning a business. Is you have the ups and downs. That was why, back in the day when I was at Schneider, that wasn't as extreme. It might have had a little bit of a wave, but it wasn't like sharp rise, And this is what you're in. This is the world that you're in. And so you either love it or hate it. And you look at maps like this. They're showing Texas having very tight capacity. New Mexico, not so much. It's just like the hot market maps with 1, 2, 3. But it's that pattern. That's the pattern that you have to prepare yourself for. And evidence of that is I tried to book a load and they wanted me to do it for $500 less than I did a month ago. And they were not budging. Do you think that their contract changed that much? Did the fuel surcharge change that much? No. And so it's very frustrating. You go, well, the broker's keeping more. Well, yeah. They control it, right? Or the shipper controls that. They don't want to lose that contract. The contract rates are getting ready to come down. And if there's not a lot of stuff to move around, So a friend of mine told me that I wrote this down that he was listening to a financial podcast. They said that KB Homes have canceled 62% of their builds. 62% of one home manufacturer's builds have been canceled. And it's not like you call them up and say, hey, never mind. That costs a lot of money for those cancellations. So if you're flatbed, step deck, you might be looking at some lower rates, lower than what you already have. And as TC Box is pointing out, imports are down as well. So you have to ask yourself, what if this doesn't get better? What if this is what it is? What are you going to do about it? Some people are in there for the long haul, and some people are just, they don't realize that they're dead men walking. Do you account for seasonal freight, regional differences in freight rates? Yeah, I mean, look, produce especially, there's a time of year where you can't get good paying loads out of Texas, and then there are times when you can. But then what they do is they flip flop it. Now you can't get good money going into Texas. Back when, you're able to get 10 grand out of California, you're lucky to get 3 grand to go into there from the East Coast because they knew that you were going to get it out. And that's something that annoys me, but it's all about supply and demand. Net revenue is all that matters. That's absolutely true. What would you say is an estimate average to company drivers to owner operators percentage? I have no idea. Got winched out last week. Cost company $2,600 to get me free. Wow. If that's bad, do you think park it and get a company job? If you have a clean record, there are plenty of jobs to be had more than what you're making now. There are companies that I know people that will park their truck and then work company to let the rates settle. You can do that when your truck costs are pretty low. I could go do that now if I wanted to, but I have other responsibilities, and I really don't want to because I love doing what I'm doing, despite the struggles. As a broker agent, I won't start my TMS unless I can make 7.2345% on the load, and if I only have to make phone call to book the load. That's funny. This is the same rates from the early 1990s. This will never change. Your show makes me feel like a dummy at times. I stated what rates were in my last video. I didn't like them, but it doesn't mean it's not doable or someone like them. JB. I'm sorry, T-Bone. I don't mean to. I mean, look, I haven't watched your video. Just because, like, that $2 a mile example, like, is that doable for, and that's to each individual, but it doesn't mean it's not doable or someone wouldn't like them, right? Just because I do a load for $2 a mile doesn't mean I'm like, oh yeah, everything's great. So, uh, you're gonna ruffle some feathers with that. I appreciate your honesty. I realize you guys do a ton of work we don't see to get the freight. Your show makes me feel like a dummy at times. I stated what rates were in my last video. I didn't like them, but it didn't mean they weren't doable or someone else wouldn't like them. I made 90,000 as a company guy, ran 125,000 miles, bought 18,000 gallons of fuel, $75,000 just in fuel. And yeah, that's crazy. Well, weather sucks in Omaha. Yep, it does. Landstar released to 22 fiscal year earnings. It was 7.4 billion, which was 900 million higher than the previous record in 2021. That's good. Is the freight market in your eyes following typical patterns? It will get better in March until summer. It's hard to say because of all the economic, you know, um, precursors, I guess. The argument that brokers are taking a big cut is like complaining about the warden driving a Cadillac. Beware of self imprisonment. Look, I know brokers that do take a bigger cut. I know 3 separate incidents where the shipper was still being charged the same amount when they kept giving the driver less and less. I know 3 separate incidents because I have connections. Is it right? No. Well, it depends. And you guys got to realize that if DAT and FreightWaves is telling you that capacity is not in your favor, that literally gives the brokers justification to give you. I mean, think about it. If I was once at a casino truck stop and I was looking for something to eat, and I go to the cold deli case and they had a package of hot dogs. It was $8. Literally eight. I thought it was a typo. I went up to the guy. I was like, "Is this really $8?" He's like, "Yeah." I checked the expiration date because obviously, that would have had to sit there for a while, right? I go, "Do people actually buy this?" Is like, "Yeah, man. We're the only place for miles. If you're hungry, you're hungry." And that's the gist of it. The guy had no qualms for charging for $8 for that package of hot dogs. And his only complaint was, "Yeah, my boss did that, but I get the blunt of the complaints." And I just tell people, "Well, don't buy it then." It's a simple yet effective, but if you're hungry, you're hungry, right? I did not buy those hot dogs, by the way, because I was not that hungry. I was being sarcastic. My apologies. If you knew me, you would know I bust my butt at least 50 hours a week or more. I take responsibility for my actions. Morning Pale Rider TV. Like seeing all the videos. Keep up the good work. Consistency will help you grow. Yeah, Pale Rider and I had a good conversation yesterday. Wow, complete sentences are hard. No, I didn't mean that. I thought you were targeting me. It just makes me think more, and that's good. Okay, T-Bone. Okay, good deal. Because I'm really good at ticking off people that I thought were cool. I'm really good at that this week. So there's that. This week last year, I got 12K for a 2-stop dry van load from Portland to North Georgia. I delivered and sold my truck because I knew that rate wouldn't go higher and the hangover for the trucking party was coming. There's a lot of people that sold their trucks, and and that's see. So you looked ahead. You figured it out, right? Okay. Jeez. Be careful of self imprisonment, and that's where we are all at. Wow. Wow. What? It doesn't help that I'm not that far. What are you saying? Wow for, T-Bone? Are you talking about Sage's comment towards CDN? Who does this for money? You do it for the lifestyle, because unless fuel drops to $2 a gallon, the profit margins will be low, and that's absolutely true, Jose. If you're willing to struggle for it because you love it, then this conversation is probably you've probably already turned off this video. And the majority of the people that I see staying in, they've got their costs down, they've prepared for this, and they love doing what they're doing. I got a guy that loves running coast to coast. He loves driving. He hates it when we have to do the short stuff for a minute, because that's his passion. That's where he loves. And so, as long as he's making a profit, he's good. He's told me, he said, "Steve, I'm good, man. I'm making a profit." Said every now and then a load sucks, but that's usually my fault because I need you to do something specific for me. And there you go. That's like the best mindset you can have. Clyde, we weren't worried about gouging the broker before overcapacity. Again, more white noise that really doesn't matter, right, Clyde? That's a good way to look at it. And that goes up on base on CPI. FTR's truck loadings outlook states truck loadings are forecast at 0.2% lower year over year in 2023, and no growth outlook for dry van and weaker specialized growth are the largest forecast changes. Reefer's going to take a hit as well because of mainly because of the weather out in California. A lot of fields were disoriented because of the flooding that was happening last month. No, picking up 2 stops in a few. It's below me, so might not hit it until later. Nothing here yet. Refrigerated and specialized are the only segments expected to see growth. Refrigerated loadings are forecast to increase 1.7 year after year. Well, then don't make everybody go out and get a reefer. I think I'm getting immune to Black Rifle Coffee. LOL. By the way, Lord Snores, that podcast was awesome. You should do more. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you. Buy the hot dogs that make a short about the most expensive hot dog in the world. LOL. I see. I see. I bring you to the dark side, Steve. What are you, Vader? I'm mad at you. Wah. The cry of doom will be getting louder and more frequently over the next few weeks because the piggy banks are dry. I'm still here. I enjoy your show. Thank you, Jose. I appreciate you. I wish my costs were down, but I knew this was coming. I had plans. There you go. Hey, brokers are trying to make a buck too. Their market sales, no shame in their game. Truckers are hypocrites because they do the same thing, maximize profits. Mic drop. Anybody who's ever done a mic drop has never had to pay for a mic. Just saying. All right. See how much hate mail I've got now. Gotta love it. Gotta love the hate. Shadow Wolf, what's up? Good to see you, my friend. So, anyways, if you guys want to go over low board stuff, we can. It's after 8. I actually, I think we're gonna skip the low board. We'll do that tomorrow. And it's gonna look the same, pretty much. I noticed rates had kind of dropped this week as well. So, stuff that was $2,200 is now 16, 17, and still a lot of brokers that are not showing up on credit checks. Still a lot of brokers, still a lot of double brokering going on. So you got to be careful of that. And now even the big ones like TQL, CH Robinson, their volumes have gone down and they're being picky about who they give the freight to. So if you've been a horrible carrier, you're going to definitely be a struggle. And the majority of the freight that I move is email based or relationship based. When I have to get on the low boards, it's definitely like walking through a landmine. Look at that. Lovely wife giving me coffee. She rules. I think donate when you needed a mic. Oh, well, not sure if I did. You donated when I was asking for a green screen, and somebody else got me this mic that wants to remain anonymous. Or when the chat is yelling Shadow Wolf. When do you think the truck market will normalize? Looking to get out of my lease, purchase a truck to lease onto my carrier. Steady contract free. Haven't had a slowdown yet. If you want to purchase a truck to lower your costs, as long as your position at that company is solid, then you just have to run basically a business plan, but just with different numbers. Also, look at your contract of the lease purchase to see if there's an early termination fee and what your cost per mile. And you want to do comparative cost and what's the maintenance issue. So if you're under a lease truck, there's possible that might be an umbrella, like they'll front you the $10,000, or there's a warranty if you blow a turbo. And yes, they're about 10 grand now. And for the most part, unless you're picking Joe Bob's shop that can work on a Freightliner, it's going to be about 10 grand for a PACCAR at least. And which, so that's numbers you want to do. What's the contract lease say? Is your company going to have an attitude if you're not one of their lease trucks? Like at Schneider, there was a little bit different treatment of guys that had their own trucks and guys that had SFI leases. So, there's that element. So it just depends on the company, it depends on the contract, depends on the cost and what the cost of repair and maintenance in the truck payment versus the lease that you may not have to worry about those things. So that those are the things that you want to establish, Robert. I know that doesn't answer your question, but as far as what will normalize, it just there is no normal. I mean, these graphs. Here's this is what normal is right here. This is normal right here. This is normal for the spot market. And the contract is usually similar, but not as sharp. It's more of a wave than the sharp EKG looking stuff. That's what normal is. And so you're gonna in a 5-year lease or a 5-year truck note, you're gonna have to account for all of this. Because if you look at these graphs from 5 years to today, they're all gonna show you the same patterns. And so it would depend on how um, good those contracts, if you have contracts at that company. So if you haven't had a slowdown, consider yourself lucky, and you found a good place. But this is normal right here. This is all normal. So as far as normalizing, you'll notice, you'll see rates start to pick up in the spot, but if you start noticing contract rates going down, that's usually the other side of spot going back up. So CB says, hand purple blue peace, Mrs. Snorelord. New social media rules must provide 3 positive comments before you can give a negative. If you can't find the positive, treat it like a TV. Change the channel. The world would be a better place if all brokers were as good as CDN. Absolutely. If you're a manager providing an employee review, HR says you need 3 positive before 1 negative. Treat social media the same. Yeah, that ain't going to happen. Shadow Wolf says, doing great. Van life rocks. No more hauling freight is really cool. You know what, Shadow Wolf? I'm tempted to just sell everything and do what you're doing. I think my wife might be on board for that. Kids may not, but that's a different topic for a different day. I haven't had a problem yet getting over $2 a mile. Good deal, man. Those are great skills. Every now and then I've had to take a couple of loads below $2, but that's because we got a really great rate going in. And so it balanced out. And it was a backhaul that was needed, specific. So all right, guys, I got to get off of here. So peace.